Hi, everybody. This is Bob Iacchino along with Mike Arnold, co-founders of Path Trading Partners, and this is a weekend Path Chat for the week that really begins Monday, May 1st, but it is April 30th as we record this. Early April 30th. So, interesting week. A lot of them are interesting. The VIX didn't do anything. The Euro kind of backed up a little bit on Mario Draghi's comments that the Eurozone risks had diminished and it looked like the economy was in better shape, but he did not change the taper of the asset purchase program. He left it at a reduction of 20 billion euros, which I think the market was expecting, but was hoping for maybe a little bit more aggressive of a stance. North Korea tried to fire a ballistic missile, which one of the Trump military generals called it giving the middle finger to the U.S. Some reports say that the ballistic missile test failed, which is fine. But Donald Trump did say in a Reuters article that there's a possibility of a high-level conflict with North Korea, which you would think would get the VIX going, might get gold a little bit bid, might get the dollar hit a little bit, but none of that happened. NASDAQ made new highs, slowed down in toward the end of the week. The earnings season is doing better, which I think was pretty much expected. You had mostly beats, some small disappointments in certain areas, like Ford's profit, for example, was not where it probably should be or where the market wanted it to be. Microsoft's revenues a little bit lower, but the economic data continues to come in soft, and we saw GDP in the U.S. at 0.7. That is in line with historical trends since the crisis of first quarter GDP coming in weak, and then it's strengthening as the year goes along. The Eurozone and Canada, however, had their GDP in the area where they wanted it to be, right around 2% in the Eurozone and about 2.5% in Canada. So those went well. Bank of Japan didn't do anything. That's about it in terms of recap. On the economic front for this coming week, the week starts off with China's manufacturing PMI, which is expected to come out at 51.7. By the time Mike is done with his FX analysis, that data will have probably come out, and I'll report it back to you after Mike looks at his charts. It is not out yet, but it's due out any minute now, so we'll see after Mike looks at his charts. In terms of the week ahead, tonight the only thing I would be looking at would be the Japanese PMI. It's a manufacturing PMI. It's the April final, not expected to change. It was 52.8 last. And then you've got the Australian TD Securities inflation year over year. That's expected also to be unchanged as the April number is supposed to come in at about 2.1. It was 2.2 last. On Monday, 2:15 a.m. Central Time, you've got Swiss retail sales year over year for March. No estimate on that one. Going into 7:30 in the morning Central Time, you've got all in a row, all at 7:30, U.S. personal income for March, personal spending for March, real personal spending for March, consumption expenditure core month over month, and consumption expenditure core year over year. The year over year numbers, what we're really going to be looking for, those are all 7:30 Central Time. That's expected to come out at 1.7. It was 1.8 last. Personal consumption expenditure month over month is expected at down 0.1. It was up 0.2 last. In terms of personal spending and personal income, looking for 0.2 and 0.3 respectively. 0.2 would be up from the last one on personal spending. 0.3 would be one tick or 1/10 down from the 0.4 that came out last time. Those are all March numbers. An hour later, 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern, Canadian market manufacturing PMI for April. No estimate on that one. Then you get to about 30 minutes later, 9 Central Time, you're going to have ISM manufacturing and ISM prices paid. The ISM in the U.S. is supposed to come out at 56.7 versus 57.2 last. This is an April number. You've also got month-over-month construction spending coming out in the U.S. Same time, expected at up 0.4. It was up 0.8 last. Later on, 6:50 in the evening, Central Time again, you've got the Bank of Japan minutes for the March 15th and 16th meeting. And then you've got about 30 minutes after that or so, 7:20 Central Time, you got Bank of Japan's Kuroda speaking at a global think tank summit in Yokohama. Moving on to the evening, 30 minutes before midnight Central Time, so 11:30, the Reserve Bank of Australia's rate decision. And then actually I skipped this one, but at about 8:45 Central Time, China's Caixin PMI Manufacturing Index expected to come out at 51.4 versus 51.2 last. By the way, Reserve Bank of Australia rate decision, not expected to change. Nothing's expected to come out. That's shocking. Move on to Tuesday, May 2nd. You've got the Swiss Purchasing Managers Index for April. That's going to be 2:30 Central Time. Then 3:30 Central Time, market UK PMI Manufacturing for April. Expected to come out slightly lower, 54 even versus 54.2 last. You've got Eurozone unemployment rate at 4 a.m. Central Time. No estimate on that. I don't have an estimate on that for you guys, but last was 9.5%. Moving on to Wednesday. Wednesday starts some of the bigger numbers relative to their value to the markets. So 2:55 a.m. Central Time, German unemployment change, German unemployment rate. Okay, expected to come out unchanged, 5.8% on the rate. About 35 minutes later, 3:30 in the morning, you've got UK construction PMI. And then 4 a.m. Central Time, Eurozone GDP quarter over quarter and year over year for the first quarter. No estimate on that one, although the year over year we are expecting to come out at 2%. Moving on to the U.S. 7:15, U.S. ADP employment change, precursor to the non-farm payrolls coming on Friday. This is for April. The expectation is for 178,000 jobs to have been added under the ADP survey. 263 was the last. Then you get to 9 a.m. Central, ISM Services non-manufacturing composite, expected to come out at 55.9 versus 55.2 last. Get to 9:30 Central Time, you've got the crude oil inventories. That's as usual. Then you get to 1 p.m. Central Time, and you've got the Federal Open Market Committee rate decision. We don't expect anything shocking out of this. There is not a press conference, so we don't expect anything. We'll be looking at the statement to see if anything has changed in terms of wording. It is likely that it has not changed one bit in terms of wording. So this ranks as a high-level piece of economic data, but it may not actually play out as anything that is market moving. You get to about 8:30 Central Time, PM obviously, Australian trade balance is coming out, and then 8:45, you've got the China PMI composite and the China PMI services for April. Then you get to 10:10 Central Time, PM. RBA Governor, Royal Bank of Australia Governor Thomas Lowe is giving a speech then. We'll be watching for comments out of that. Thursday, we should slow down in anticipation of the non-farm payrolls, but there is some data overseas and in the U.S. as well. At 12:45 a.m., Swiss consumer confidence is expected to come out. Then at 3:30 a.m. Central Time, UK services PMI, UK composite PMI, net consumer credit, net lending, and mortgage approvals. No estimates on any of that stuff. 4 a.m. Central Time, Eurozone retail sales year over year for March, expected to be 1.5%. Last was 1.8. 7:30 a.m. Central Time, U.S. trade balance, initial jobs claims, and continuing claims. And then an hour and a half later, 9 a.m., factory orders and durable goods March final. Okay, those are finals. We don't expect that to move the market at all. We don't expect any change out of it. 3:25 Central Time, PM, Bank of Canada Governor Stephen Poloz is giving a speech in Mexico. That will most likely move the market, especially given the NAFTA conversations going on. Remember, Canada, U.S., Mexico are all the countries in NAFTA, and we've got a Canadian central banker giving a speech in Mexico. So there could be a NAFTA comment during that speech. You get to 6:30 p.m. Central Time. We've got the Australian AIG Performance Construction Index, new home sales, and their statement on monetary policy. Again, not expecting anything shocking out of any of that stuff. Then you get to Friday. Friday's the big day, obviously, for this particular week. First Friday of the month. 1 a.m., Swiss Real Estate Bubble Index. I don't care about that, but the Swiss do. 2:30 in the morning, Germany's construction PMI and Germany's retail sales from market, all of those from market No estimates on those. That's 2:30 a.m. and 3:10 Central Time. Now, 7:30 a.m. Central Time, we've got Canadian and U.S. employment figures. We've got Canada's full-time employment change, their net change in employment, and their Canadian unemployment rate. That's at 7:30. Most of the market will be, unfortunately, though, looking at the U.S. change in non-farm payrolls for April. Looking for it to be up 180,000 versus 98,000 last. Manufacturing payrolls should come in about 15,000 versus 11,000 last. And the unemployment rate should come out at 4.6% versus 4.5% last. We do not have any estimates for the hourly earnings year over year for April, but the work week we're expected to see unchanged at 34.3. So that will be a big deal if that moves at all. Then at 12 noon, Baker Hughes rig counts for May 5th. We've got 15 straight weeks of rising rig counts in the oil patch. That'll be all the economic data for the week. We're probably going to see some North Korea tensions build up. We have not seen the VIX move at all. And again, if this China's manufacturing PMI, not the Cation, but the actual government number, comes out while Mike is doing his analysis of the FX markets, I will give that to you after Mike is done. But in the meantime, Mike, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Bob. Euro US dollar, sort of a critical area. It's holding above the 25% gain retracement level, which is a very strong pattern for us with a rising 8. It has to get above this trend line and this key high, about 109.50, to make a next move higher. If you take a look at the weekly, that then takes us into this big move, which could be eventual target of 110.93. So let's look at some short-term levels. On a rally, resistance at 109.03, followed by 109.29, then nothing up until we get to this 109.50 area. If we do get above that, watch for 109.98, next key area higher. If it pulls back and violates this 25% level, first we have a little minor support at 108.64. Then we have the 108.55. So that 108.64 to 108.55 area is going to be key support right in here. Some support coming in at the rising 8, 108.46. If that's broken, you can see it probably move pretty rapidly down to this significant level, 108.20. If that doesn't hold, next is 108.08. And then you're coming in with this rising trend line also. And finally, on a big move down, watch for 107.82 for support. Pound continues to move higher, almost got to our next GAN level, up slightly above where the high was on Friday, 129.64 or 65. So that's going to be key when we open again. The 129.65 to 70 areas right in here. If that is broken to the upside, watch for 130.37. On a pullback of the pound US dollar pair, watch for support around 129.03, then 128.90 is the next key level. Then we're watching for 128.58. If that is broken, we have the 8 in a prior trend line, which is not a redraw yet, coming in around 128.38 to 42 area right in there. And then 25% support coming in about 128.15. So those are the levels we'll be watching for in the pound US dollar. US dollar, Japanese yen, also very key area. Lots of resistance up here between 111.65 to 111.80. Very key. If it can rally through here, then watch for a possible pretty quick move up to 112.22, followed by 112.68 to 112.73, all the way up here, which would take it to the end of the clear path. On a move lower, watch for, we have very strong level right around this 111.32. If that does not hold, then we're looking for around 111.13 to 111 right in here. And then if that breaks down, watch for about 110.86. And on a very large move down, watch for about 110.61 down into 110.41 to 110.49 area, which then would be a retest of this rising trend line. The breaking the rising 8 and the rising 21 being support. Over to the US dollar Swiss. See, rapid move down, moving back up to close slightly higher on Friday. If we get through about the 99.53 and then can rally up to the 99.60 level, if that is broken, watch for a retest of this trend line coming in around 99.71. Then the next key area higher is going to be about 99.81 to 99.84. If that is broken, then we're watching for a retest the end of the clear path, 99.88, followed by 99.92, and then essentially the 100 area right in here. On another pullback and move lower, we're going to be watching for a key support coming in around this 99.28 to 99.23 level. Then if that's broken, next major level lower is this 99.02 area, and if that's violated, we're looking at 98.89 cluster area down here. Aussie US dollar moved up on Friday, just closing below the 74.93 significant level. If we rally through that on Sunday/Monday, watch for 74.99, then the 75.11 area, followed by the 75.29. If we get through 75.29, next major area higher is about the 75.40. If it turns lower, very key support 74.69, followed by minor support about 74.54, then very major support 74.41. If it breaks through there, which would be a new defining point, next two GAN levels down, which we'll be watching for, are 74.23 followed by 74.05. The potential move, if we do get a key close below this defining point, we could see a longer term move down to about 73.37. US dollar, Canadian dollar pushed up again higher. So you can see we violated the next key GAN level higher, the 136.74. We're going to have to reevaluate those levels now. And if we rally up, then we're going to be looking for 136.97 as a key area to retest. And then if that's broken, the 137.56. On a pullback, some support right around this 136.37, followed by 136.06. Then this nice cluster area coming in at 135.78. If that's broken, 135.62, and then a significant level down at 135.39. Finally, US dollar, Mexican peso. Big reversal move back down, sitting right on a flat 21 rotation zone area right now. If it continues lower on Sunday and Monday, watch for 1876.98. And if that's broken, we have this 1864.34 to 1866.47 area, which is going to be key. This trend line's also now an official redraw with a new defining point. On a move higher, 1887.48 to 1890.24 is going to be key. Potential resistance, if that's broken, 1897.99, and then 1902.77 significant level on the upside. That's all we have for you. Back to you, Bob.
Thank you, Michael. While Mikey was doing his charts, the Chinese manufacturing index came out. This is the official April manufacturing number, and growth slowed more than expected. It came out at 51.2 versus March's 5-year high of 51.8 and an expectation of 51.6. Demand weakened across the board, the biggest decline in the input price sub-index, which fell to 51.8. That's its slowest expansion since June of last year, and it was 59.3 this past March. So the number's a little bit weaker. We'll see how that affects things. Cheers, everyone, and we will talk to you in the next Path Chat.